The sky turned an eerie, almost surreal orange as flames devoured the hillsides, painting the city in an otherworldly glow. The air shimmered with heat, and the horizon seemed to pulse with the relentless advance of fire. Thick, choking smoke filled the air, blotting out the sun and casting a sinister shadow over Los Angeles. The city's familiar skyline was barely visible, shrouded in a dense, suffocating haze that made it hard to breathe or see. The deafening roar of the firestorm echoed through the canyons, a terrifying symphony of destruction that seemed to shake the very earth. The flames leapt from ridge to ridge, consuming everything in their path with terrifying speed. Panicked residents fled their homes, clutching whatever belongings they could carry, as the flames advanced relentlessly. Streets were filled with cars and people, all desperate to escape the approaching inferno, their faces etched with fear and uncertainty. The 2025 Los Angeles wildfires were a disaster of unimaginable proportions, leaving behind a trail of heartbreak and devastation. Entire neighborhoods were reduced to ashes, and the scars left on the city would last for years to come. The fires, driven by fierce Santa Ana winds, ripped through neighborhoods with terrifying speed. The relentless gusts fanned the flames, making containment nearly impossible for exhausted crews. Embers carried by the wind ignited spot fires miles away, creating a chaotic and unpredictable inferno. New blazes erupted without warning, overwhelming firefighters and residents alike. Firefighters battled bravely, risking their lives on the front lines, but the flames seemed unstoppable, fueled by years of drought and tinder-dry vegetation. Their courage was met with overwhelming odds. The City of Angels was engulfed in a nightmare, a stark reminder of the destructive power of nature and the vulnerability of even the greatest cities when faced with such fury. The 2025 Los Angeles wildfires were a tragedy waiting to happen, a confluence of factors that created the perfect conditions for disaster. Years of severe drought, exacerbated by climate change, had turned the region's vegetation into a tinderbox, primed for ignition. The infamous Santa Ana winds, howling down from the mountains with hurricane-force gusts, provided the deadly spark. Investigators suspect that the initial spark came from faulty power lines owned by Southern California Edison. The company had been warned repeatedly about the dangers of its aging infrastructure, but those warnings went unheeded. The combination of extreme weather, human negligence, and climate change proved to be a recipe for disaster, with devastating consequences. The human cost of the 2025 Los Angeles wildfires was staggering, leaving a deep scar on the city's collective memory. Families were torn apart, and entire neighborhoods were changed forever in a matter of hours. At least 30 people lost their lives, many of them trapped in their homes by the rapidly advancing flames. First responders risked their own safety, searching for survivors amid the chaos and destruction. Over 18,000 homes and businesses were reduced to ashes, leaving families homeless and communities in ruins. The devastation stretched for miles, with entire blocks wiped out and cherished memories lost in the inferno. More than 200,000 people were forced to evacuate their homes, seeking refuge in shelters and with relatives. Many left with only the clothes on their backs, uncertain if they would ever return to what was left of their lives. The economic impact of the disaster was equally devastating, as businesses shuttered and livelihoods were lost overnight. Insurance claims are estimated to exceed $30 billion, making it one of the costliest natural disasters in California's history. The process of recovery will be long and challenging for many. Economists at UCLA project that the total economic damage could reach a staggering $164 billion, taking into account lost productivity, business closures, and the long-term costs of rebuilding. The road to recovery will test the resilience of Los Angeles for years to come. In the aftermath of the fires, the arduous task of cleanup and recovery began. The United States Army Corps of Engineers, or USAC, really took the lead on this massive effort to clear debris, remove hazardous materials, and start the process of rebuilding. Thousands of workers, including many undocumented immigrants, toiled tirelessly in dangerous conditions, exposed to toxic ash and debris. The Red Cross and other aid organizations stepped in to provide essential support to displaced residents, offering food, shelter, and medical care. But honestly, the road to recovery is long and arduous. Many families lost everything they owned and now face an uncertain future. The emotional scars of the disaster will likely linger for years to come. The 2025 Los Angeles wildfires serve as a stark reminder of the urgent need to address the growing threat of climate change. These devastating fires have shown us just how vulnerable our communities are, and how quickly lives can be upended when we fail to act. We can no longer afford to ignore the warnings of scientists or the pleas of communities on the front lines of this crisis. Their voices have grown louder each year, urging us to take meaningful steps before it's too late. We have to demand accountability from our elected officials, and hold corporations responsible for their role in contributing to this crisis. Real change will only come when we insist on transparency and action from those in power. We must invest in renewable energy, supporting technologies that can help us transition to a cleaner, more sustainable future for everyone. We need to reduce our reliance on fossil fuels, making choices that protect our air, our health, and our planet for generations to come. And we must implement policies that promote sustainability and resilience, from city planning to community initiatives, ensuring our neighborhoods are prepared for the challenges ahead. We must also support the victims of this disaster, standing together as a community to help those who have lost so much. Providing them with the resources they need to rebuild their lives and communities is not just compassionate, it's essential for our collective recovery and future resilience. The time for action is now. Every voice, every effort, and every decision matters in the fight to prevent future tragedies. We just can't afford to wait for another tragedy to strike before we act. The future of our city and our planet depends on what we do today.